Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of 5 for 5. Come on in, everyone. And as you come in, I would love to hear where you're actually signing in from. Hi, Mayuki. Nice to see you. Sandy Hardy. Nice to see you as well. Welcome in today. I'm really excited about our topic. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes. If you're from Japan, but you are in England, well, you are very lucky. You're obviously doing a lot of travel. I hope that the weather is fine in England right now. I don't know what it's like. Hi, hello to the Dreamcatcher. Welcome. It's fine. Okay, great. I'm here in Northern California in the States, and thank goodness it hasn't been too hot. It hasn't been too hot. We're just waiting for some water. Yeah, it's really beautiful here. So welcome in, everyone. So this is the place where in 5 minutes I'm going to give you 5 tips on a topic that's going to be helpful. Okay, so we've got AMD 1204 push off. We're getting ready to push off right now. So today's 5 for 5 is going to be on networking. And very specifically, easy for me to say, your elevator pitch. So before we go on, my name is Karen Glasser, and I am the co-founder of Spark It Network, and I am a digital asset expert. And so today we're going to be talking about going to networking events, and a networking event is not necessarily what you think a networking event is. Yes, you can go to a chamber of commerce or a BNI or a team, and those are networking events or a meetup group. But you can actually network almost anywhere. You can network when you are at a party. You can network when you are on social media. You can network when you are at a family gathering. Almost anywhere you can network. So we're going to talk about how to address people when they ask you this question, because most people are going to ask a question something like this. What do you do for a living? Or what is your company all about? So these are the kind of the questions that people ask, right? So this is a really great opportunity to let people know more about you and your company, so that maybe they can create a relationship with you. So let's talk about the elevator pitch and why it was actually created for something just like this. So what is an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch is a concise, carefully planned, and well-practiced description about your company, and something specifically that your mother would be able to understand in the time it would take to write up an elevator. That's why it's called an elevator speech, which is kind of clever. It will take basically 60 seconds to go all the way up on a tall building. So what is an elevator pitch not? What is an elevator pitch not? Well, number one, it is not a sales pitch. So if you're thinking that when you go to a networking group or a party, that if somebody asks you what you do and you say, okay, I'm going to pull out my elevator pitch, it is not to be a sales pitch at all, not at all. You're not sure your mother would understand? My mother still doesn't understand, so I'm still working on it. So typically you have about 60 seconds to leave an exciting, emphasis on exciting, impactful, and meaningful impression with whomever you come in contact. So make those seconds count. So here are 5 tips to make your elevator pitch great. Number 1, they should be about 150 to 225 words. Your pitch should go no longer than 60 seconds. You want to leave them wanting more. They're meant to be short. And you don't want to pack too much into it because you still want them to be able to ask questions. You want to be able to quickly just give a couple of details and explain your expertise. Absolutely. And, thank you, Nancy. Thank you for sharing it to your followers. I actually forgot to ask you to do that. So if you guys are finding this valuable, I would love to have you share it to your network. If you're on an iPhone, you want to take your hand across the phone and swipe to the right, and you can invite your network. If you're on an Android, you're going to swipe down and invite interest. And I love those hearts, so keep those hearts company. Hi, Sandy. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, for piquing your interest. Alrighty, number 2, what is the problem that you solve? The most important thing that you need to identify is what's the problem that you solve, or the problem that your business solves. If your product or service doesn't solve a problem, you don't have a viable business, guys. It's as simple as that. So make sure that your business can solve a problem. So you want to start off strong. You want to grab your listeners' interest, and you want to make them ask you to tell them more. So you tell what you do, not what you are, not I'm an accountant. Instead, I would suggest you say, I help people not get audited by the IRS. Okay? So you want to actually tell them the problem that you're going to solve. Okay. Tip number 3, you want to make a connection. An elevator speech is an important networking tool. It's like a verbal business card. As a matter of fact, I don't even carry business cards, so my networking pitch is very much a verbal introduction to myself. I'm just going to check my notes to make sure I'm not going to forget anything. So it provides a brief and compelling introduction to your company and intrigues your acquaintances to ask you for more information. So you're going to tell, but not sell. So important. You want to tell, but not sell. You want to be prepared to tell a compelling story, possibly with a question. So one of the things that I always start my elevator pitch with is I ask a question, and it doesn't have a no, yes answer. It's a question that makes them think and then maybe ask you a little bit more. So I say, because I'm a digital asset expert, so one of the things that I'll say is, when was the last time you created a digital asset to market your business? Now, one of two things is going to happen when I ask that question. One thing that may happen is somebody might say to me, what the heck is a digital asset? But do you see what just happened? I created a conversation. I'm able now to continue a conversation with that person. Or they might say, I haven't done one in a while because they scare the living daylights out of me, right? Well, now you're able to say, well, I'm a digital asset expert and I can help you with that. Does that make sense? Are you guys following this right now? So you want to make sure that you're able to answer the questions that are being asked. Because, of course, if you're the expert and somebody asks you a question and you can't answer, that's not going to bode well for your expertise. You want to express interest in your new acquaintance, and you want to learn as much as you can about them so that you can, again, solve their problems. Hey, Jackie, good to see you. Number 4, the 4th tip is be natural. Be natural. You want to get comfortable with your pitch. You don't want to sound like it's pre-recorded. You don't want to sound like, you're unsure, you're not sure what the next words are supposed to come out, and you, most of all, want to make sure that you don't stumble. So here's the thing. When I started doing this about 5 years ago, and I was practicing my elevator pitch, I was so bad. Well, hi there, networking group in the UK. So this is great information. I was really terrible. I sounded so awkward. So you know what I did? I grabbed one of my closest friends and I said, I need you for the next hour. And I just sat there and I worked through the pitch. I would say it out loud. I got comfortable with it. And my friend, who I trusted, was able to say, okay, that sounds awkward. Don't say that, so forth and so on. So get with somebody that you trust and practice that speech. You want it to roll off your tongue. You never know when somebody's going to ask you, go back to tip number 1, you never know when somebody's going to ask you, what do you do? Or what line of work are you in? How cool would that be if you're sitting at a funeral and it's before the funeral and the person next to you says, so, what do you do? I'm not suggesting that you do elevator pitches at funerals. However, the point I'm trying to make is you never know when somebody's going to actually ask you, what do you do? Tip number 5, and anyone that listens to me on a regular basis knows that this is my bugaboo, and that is your call to action. When you do a networking elevator pitch, you have to have a call to action. You have to tell the person that you're talking to what you would like next. Maybe you would like to take their business card. Maybe you would like to find out if they'd like to have a strategy call with you, or just find out a little bit more. Maybe you want to set up a one-to-one, a coffee meeting, or maybe you want to do a virtual meeting online. Get in your head straight what it is that your call to action is going to be. It's possible that you might want to just get, thanks, Nancy. I want to make sure that you understand that if you don't tell people what to do, and I say this all the time, they're not going to know what to do. So you're going to do this wonderful elevator pitch and you're going to stop and they're going to look at you and you're going to look at them and you're done. So why don't you say, you know what, let's have a further conversation. I would like to learn more about your business. I'd like to find out how I might be able to support you. So let's go over those tips one more time. We're going way over my 5 minutes. I like to only do 5 minutes. Here's the tip number 1. Alrighty. Tip number 1, about 150 to 255 words. The pitch needs to be small enough, short enough that if you were in an elevator going up to the top floor, You would be able to say it, and it would be explainable and understandable, and you would be done by the time you got to the end. Fortune is definitely in the follow-up, Nancy. Absolutely. Number 2, what is the problem that you solve? You've got to make sure that you actually solve problems, because if you don't, your business is just not viable. But let's assume your business is viable. You want to make sure that you tell them what you actually do, not who you are. So instead of saying, I'm an accountant, you might want to say, I'm the person that makes sure that you're not audited by the IRS. Okay, so that actually gives them a whole lot more information. The third thing that you're going to do is you're going to make a connection. You might want to ask a question. So in my case, and you don't really want it to be yes and no, okay? You do not want it to be a yes and no question, because then the conversation stops. You're really doing this as a conversation starter. So in my case, as I said, I ask people, when was the last time you created a digital asset? That way they can actually say never or what's a digital asset, and I can continue the conversation. Tip number 4. All right, tip number 4 is to be natural. Be yourself. Don't be anybody else. Be yourself. Don't sound like you are so rehearsed that if somebody were to interrupt you, you literally would not know where to pick up from. So be yourself. Practice it. It should just roll right off of your tongue. You need to be comfortable with it. And finally, 5. You need to have a call to action. Tell them what you want to do next. Maybe have a meeting up with you. You want to take their business card. And as Nancy said, the devil's in the follow-up. If you do get their business card, don't forget to follow up. And so as always, I'm going to give you now a call to action. Please come and visit me at sparkitnetwork.com/Periscope. And every single one of these episodes that I do every week are posted there. And there are infographics there. There are checklists. And today is it's the same thing. You're going to be able to download a document that's going to give you all of these tips that you can actually use them the next time you go to a networking event. If you are interested in topics that I have not yet covered and you would like to learn more, I would love for you to check out the Promote Your Passion community. It will be in the document below, but it's basically www.promoteyourpassion. Actually, it's Passion to Profit Community. You can actually click it in the Facebook. And I'm going to invite you all to put your elevator pitch on a document that I've created in there. It'll be a great way to share who you are, what you do, and what problems you solve, and it will be open to the entire community. So please, when you go over to sparkitnetwork.com/Periscope, great, ABW Networking, I would love to be able to talk to the members of the people in the UK. Why don't you go ahead and Claire, hi Claire, just go to connect with Karen with a C.com. Let's set up a time to chat. That would be great. Let's set up a time to chat. So when you go to Periscope, sparkitnetwork.com/Periscope, once you're in there, go ahead and read this post, and there will be a link to click to go over to Facebook, join the group, and add your elevator pitch. And if you need some help and you want me to take a look at it and give you some hints and tips, I'd be more than happy to do that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know that you have a choice as to where to spend your time. I'm glad you took 5 minutes to hear my 5 tips all about elevator pitch. See you next week on 5 for 5. Goodbye, everyone. If I can stop it.